Hello, Lynn. Thank you for joining us today. Lynn Trizna is the Executive Director of Pitney Meadows Community Farm, and we've invited her here today to talk about what's going on down on the farm and the myriad of ways Pitney's mission and goals and efforts have changed the lives of Saratoga's communities and are making a difference in our communities' daily lives. So welcome, Lynn. Glad to have you. Happy New Year. I'd love to fill us in on some of the changes at Pitney under COVID. Has been a little bit of a reboot for everyone.
Yeah, sure. So COVID, as stressful as it was for everybody, was actually a great opportunity for Pitney Meadows to open up to new projects, new partnerships, and also the realization of how we fit into COVID, of a safe gathering space, which was huge for the community this year. I think people were very starved for human connection, and our community garden, our trails network, our events were all outdoors, which sometimes is a little bit tricky with the weather, but I think people were very willing to come out in all weather just to see other people and meet a new person. I think those simple interactions were people were starved for it. And it was really great that, with COVID, we've really embraced the importance of an open field and what an open field can do for the community of just gathering, no matter how complex our events were. Just having an open field. I mean, we were there. That I think was a really big part of COVID, is having safe space. But also, as we got darker and our community felt a little bit smaller, we realized we could also feed our community. So there was a pivot when, in 2020, when things got pretty scary in March and April, and we had to cancel our events, cancel our education. We saw that feeding our community was really what we wanted to dive into and focus more on. So we went from donating 6,000 pounds of produce in 2019 to over 23,000 pounds of produce in 2020. And this year we donated almost 22,000 pounds of produce. And during 2020, we saw it as just a need. And so we worked with the food bank of the capital region and just got food onto the truck to be distributed. And then in thinking about how to increase our impact with the same amount of produce, we introduced pop-up markets. Just because calling back to the need for community interaction and meeting new faces, we saw the value of having a personal interaction when distributing food equal to the food itself.
Oh, and that's interesting. Creating relationship around food. How does a pop-up market happen?
So we have amazing community partners, and that was one way it was able to happen. So, rather than support organizations that are already supported by the food bank, we made a bunch of phone calls over the winter and identified communities that weren't being served due to the lack of a pantry or refrigeration at a pantry. So bringing the fresh produce to the community and having a market style pickup where it didn't matter if there's no refrigeration, but also having that interaction with another person to encourage you to try new kinds of produce, tell you about a recipe that worked really well for them. I think that creates a more successful path forward for people to try new produce and have a healthier diet. But also, at Pitney Meadows, it was really important that every single person that received our produce was treated like a valuable customer, regardless of whether you paid for it or you didn't pay for it. So we offered free cooking classes as well to kind of bring everyone together. So people who frequented our pop-up markets, people that went to pantries, community gardeners, CSA members, everyone could come together and learn about cooking new vegetables, because that's one thing I really noticed is everyone is kind of on the same playing field at Pitney Meadows of kind of like a pace of wonder. Like everyone is, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter if you've experienced homelessness, like everyone's coming together and stoked to see a sunflower or stoked to grow their own produce. So I think it was a really great opportunity to bring people together and build community in addition to distributing produce, because the needs of the community are very complex, and sometimes just saying hello to another person can help address a lot of issues.
It is I don't know if you haven't been out to speaking to the audience, if you haven't been out to Pitney Meadows Community Farm, it is magical being there. And some of the moments that I think back on over the last couple of years is going out just to watch a sunset, at just stopping to watch a sunset across this big open field. And it becomes, talk about creating space, safe space to find common ground with other people. And we all share food in different ways. I think there's really richness in that. And I'm really moved to hear you talking about the interrelationship and building these relationships. And that becomes a vehicle for expanding people's awareness of health and food and recipes. And you're also clearly reaching into areas that we know are referred to as food deserts, where things don't reach certain sections of our populations in our cities. So you're building bridges. I'm hearing that you're building bridges.
Rural food insecurity is a very hard thing to address. And getting out there and coordinating and finding folks.
Tell me a little more about that. I think about food insecurity. This is really interesting. In my mind, I know about like the inner city or city food deserts where people can't get to markets and things. You're talking about rural food insecurity. How is that reflected here in Saratoga?
So it's really outside of Saratoga Springs and some of the neighboring areas of, we went to Providence, we went to the town of Day, we went to Edinburgh, and some places that you don't think about as facing food insecurity. But there's definitely folks out there. And, the first time we were at the pop-up markets, we definitely had people come, but it was through word of mouth that we had more folks come. So as we did the markets over July through October, and as the markets progressed, more family members and friends had found out about the market and started attending. So we would put out flyers, but there's not the same concentrated gathering community centers. So it's hard to let people know what you're doing. So it was a huge educational piece and just going out to the communities and talking to people, because we never want to enter a community and say like, oh, this is what you need. So that's why we relied so much on the community partners, because we knew that they knew their community and we could just come in and do what we do best, which is distribute produce.
What I'm flashing on is it is a way of nurturing, fostering the village, the town square, the village. It's showing up differently. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. How can people get involved with Pitney Meadows? How can we support you in this mission, but also come and learn and be present on the land or be able to participate?
So we are open dawn to dusk 7 days a week, and there's someone always doing something. So if you feel inspired, come onto the farm. Actually, a lot of great conversations and great community partnerships come from someone. I'm on my computer doing email, catching up on work, and someone stops and pokes their head in Bill's barn and says, hey, how's it going? And then next thing you know, they're attending our classes, they've got a community garden plot, and they're volunteering. So I think coming onto the farm and seeing what we offer and interacting with staff, but also we've got really great volunteer opportunities. We have community garden plots. We have a UPIC CSA, which is great. But if there's something that really speaks to an individual, just sign up to volunteer and let us know. Because we definitely, for the onboarding of volunteers, figure out what people's interests are and play to those strengths of whether it's helping with the trail maintenance and being a trail steward, or harvesting for food security, or helping pollinator habitat. we really offer a lot. So whatever people are willing to contribute, we're here and we'd love to collaborate.
I will make sure that the website has your organization's website listed on it so people can find you directly. And I'd love to hear what do you see coming in Pitney's future? I know there's more educational elements coming in. Where do you see the next year bringing you and beyond?
So we're really excited about this year. We've had a couple great new staff members, one being our education director. So really thinking about giving people some purpose at Pitney Meadows in the environment we're in. People are constantly asking, like, what do I do there? It's like, oh, you just come walk the trail, have a picnic, you can do whatever. But people are like, I want to do something. So having that education as kind of an introduction to Pitney Meadows and an unintimidating way to like get to know what we do, get to know the property. So we offer educational programs from all age ranges. And also, I think getting people onto the property and connecting with the land and learning about stewardship and thinking about small behavioral changes that can really help us address those like really big, weighty topics that are happening. You know, you hear about something in the news and you're like, you kind of feel helpless, but there's really simple things that you can do that can make you feel better about your situation by helping your community and being there for your community, and kind of like letting go of those big global problems like climate change. Like, how as an individual are we going to address climate change? Well, I mean, you can plant some pollinator habitat at Pitney Meadows and do what you can. So we're about, you know, connecting those really big global heavy issues.
Bringing it local, bringing it here and now, anchoring. It's a way to root.
Because you can't change the world, but you can improve,
you
know, your community.
Yeah.
So
we are really glad you're here, Pitney Meadows. Really, it's extraordinary to watch your growth over the last 5 years, and excited for what your community-based work will continue to be. Just kudos and bravo.
It really takes a community to make that happen, though. Like, it takes a community to build community. So we're very thankful for our community partners and volunteers and our amazing board. You know, it's been a lot of hard work, but we definitely don't lack opportunity. So we're excited to see what is next for us.
I love your tag that Pitney Meadows Community Farm grows community and food organically. I think it's not paraphrased a little bit, but that idea that we're cultivating together. So Lynn Trizna, Executive Director, out there in her boots, making it all happen. Thank you for taking time today to join us and be part of this ongoing conversation with our community. You know, and we are the ones we've been waiting for, and it shows up in lots of different ways. So grateful to get an update on you folks. Thank you. Keep up the good work, and thank you for feeding us.
Thank you for having us. We're happy to serve our community.
Beautiful. Thanks again.